Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Coffins entitled Sinister Oath. This is the sixth full-length studio album from this Japanese death metal, doom metal crew formed in 1996. They released their first demo in 2000. And ever since then, Coffins has almost constantly been dropping new music left and right almost every single year. I'm talking tons of EPs, tons of demos, tons of splits, tons of standalone singles, live albums, compilations, 5 other full-length studio albums. Like, these guys have probably put out more music in the past 20-25 years or so than most bands that have been around the same amount of time. Hell, there are bands that have been around for like 30, 40, even 50 years who I don't think have released as much music as Coffins has. I mean, for fuck's sakes, this isn't even the first thing that Coffins have released this month, let alone this year. Like, I'm just now learning that these guys, at the very beginning of the month, released a split with another Japanese metal band, Grav of Grav, entitled A Tribute to Grave. And the crazy thing is, despite Coffins being so busy, despite constantly releasing new music, I can very honestly say I'm really not too familiar with a lot of their stuff. And I'm kind of disappointed in myself for that, honestly, because it is a well-documented fact that Japanese death and extreme metal is, frankly, some of the most insane and brutal shit out there. I mean, Psy, Durand Grey, Maximum the Hormone, Intestine Ballisum, Pharmacist, the list goes on and on. So I figured, you know what? I want to change that. I want to get to know Coffins. I'm going to check out their brand new album, Sinister Oath, and I'm not going to lie, I was maybe a little disappointed. Let's start off by saying some nice things about Sinister Oath so as to potentially soften any potential blows. If you're in the mood for some really dirty, ugly, slimy, underground death metal and death doom, boom, you've found it. Like, this genuinely sounds like it has been brewing in slime and sludge and blood and piss and mud for weeks on end. This thing just sounds and feels really gross and depraved, you know? You have tons of gurgling, belching, belting guttural vocals. You have guitar and bass drenched in a thick layer of feedback and crust. The album also does a pretty decent job at creating atmosphere and tension, especially in very slow-moving sections. Take, for instance, on the cut Everlasting Spiral, which, while we're on the topic, probably the best song on the record. It drudges and drawls and pounds at an intentionally quite sluggish tempo. You have some kind of like eerie, offbeat, like melodic guitar licks that kind of pop in and out of the forefront as well. There's a bit of noise, there's a bit of feedback. As we get a little closer to the end too, we're introduced to some mid-paced death metal beats and some churning guitars and some screaming vocals. The whole song kind of sounds like somebody being very slowly dragged to their death. I like Domains of Black Miasma as well, which did a good job at incorporating some really scuzzy, slimy, more energetic kind of like Autopsy-style death metal with some like big doomy beatdowns. There's also a more spacious and quiet section here where the bass just kind of rumbles like a little heartbeat. I really like that, you know? It's a really like creepy kind of effect. And I will also say that on my first listen, I did find myself enjoying more frenzied death metal-centric cuts like Things Infestation and Headless Monarch. The rest of the album, however, just frankly kind of bored me. There's a lot of stuff on here that I found to be very repetitive, very simplistic, very predictable, and very one-dimensional. Frankly, the first like 4 or 5 cuts on this album, basically the first half of this album, it all kind of bleeds and blurs together into a somewhat forgettable kind of death doom stew. I feel like I'm listening to a lot of the same guitar riffs and a lot of the same beats and a lot of the same doomy progressions over and over and over again. To the point where about halfway through Sinister Oath, I briefly turned the album off. Like, I was just like, I'm good, we'll come back to it later. Like, this was dangerously close to getting thrown into the albums I missed bin, because literally halfway through that song, I was like, I've heard all I need to hear. I'm good. I came back to it, obviously, because here we are, talking about the album. I ended up enjoying parts that I've acknowledged, but yeah, it was not a great first impression. I definitely would have liked a more varied and versatile vocal performance as well. Junto Kita, to his credit, sounds fierce and gross as fuck, and ultimately, that's the kind of vocal performance I think a lot of people are going to want from Coffins and from any kind of Death Doom album like this, of this style and variety. But me personally, I don't know, man, I feel like more could have been done, straight up. And that's honestly how I feel about this record in general. Like, I love the production, love the feel and vibe. A few songs on the latter half of this thing, they come pretty damn close to hitting the nail on the head. But overall, I feel like more could have been done. Like, if this thing had some more visceral and dynamic riffage, if this thing had more atmosphere and was more ominous and more menacing, and was just overall a less one-dimensional record, I mean, I think then we'd be talking about something really fucking cool. For what it is, I'm feeling a 2.5 out of 5, maybe leaning towards a 3 out of 5. It's okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. You know, I enjoyed parts of it, but I didn't enjoy enough of it to say that, like, I would go out of my way to listen to it again. Thankfully, this album doesn't convince me to not check out more of Coffins' material. I mean, they've been around for close to 25 years. There's got to be something in their discography that I can sink my teeth into and really enjoy. Plus, I just want to know what I've been missing. I want to catch up on Coffins, you know? But I will say, if this were being released by another band, and this were like their second or third album, and they didn't have as many EPs and demos as Coffins does, I think in that scenario, I'd be like, you know what, I'll wait until somebody runs to me and says, Robert, this is a masterpiece, you gotta check this out. So yeah, I'm maybe a little disappointed. 2.5 out of 5. It's okay, not really my thing, but it might be your thing. Like I said, if you're in the mood for some gross, gnarly, extreme shit, I definitely think you're in the right spot. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, just in case you somehow aren't getting them already. Look, there's even more videos here. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.